Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules the Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today is the second time we're going to be talking about the anime Code Geass, lelouch v Britannia. We are on episode 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if you haven't watched those episodes, go back, watch them, and then come back over here and let's talk about it. We will love your thoughts and maybe even your suggestions for the next animes that we're going to be watching, because we have a ton of animes in the chest. You can do that and submit a new anime by giving us 500 bits here on Twitch, twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman, and you can give us 500 bits. That goes to both of us and put an anime in the chest. We have so many to pick out. Some of them are from me, some of them from Matt, and then most of them are from y'all, people that watch. And then next week we're going to be finishing Code Geass. Well, not finishing the anime, finishing our watching of Code Geass, and we're going to pick a brand new one. So then we're going to go on another adventure. But I don't watch these animes alone. I go on the Code Geass adventure with my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good despite the very, very little sleep I've been getting
Oh
thanks
no.
to Pal World.
Oh, okay. That makes sense though. Because you were telling me before the show that you've gotten some pretty
I've been I've
leveled. You're
been
playing a
ded-
lot.
I've been dedicating some time to it, even despite its bugginess, despite everything, the air surrounding it, because there is quite a bit of fairly justified
Controversial.
controversy, surrounding the game. I'm enjoying it for what it is. um there we're not gonna just dissect the whole thing here, but there's a lot to get
That's
into
not what the
regarding
show's
it,
about.
but I'm enjoying Power World for what it is, definitely.
I'm trying to find some games with some fun content because I had been playing Honkai Star Rail. I'm already pretty caught up. I'm already caught up to the story, and they have like these little side stories that they're releasing, but I don't think they're fun at all. So I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna wait for main story. So I got into this other game, Aether Gazer, and I've already played all 12 chapters of the story, and now I'm just daily grinding for like stuff. And I'm like, I need another one. I need another game. Probably get back into Genshin, but we're not here to talk about video games. We are talking about anime, which are pretty close related. Usually, when one when somebody says they watch or play one, coincides with the other, kind of. Code Geass. In these next 4 episodes we're going to talk about, there's a ton of story movement. There's a lot going on, and I still hold that same sentiment in these 4 episodes where I'm just like, there's a lot going on, and it's just like a real, like, at the end you're like, big sigh. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because I think it's good because it is stimulating me on, and it's keeping my attention because there's so many moving parts and there's never a dull moment and it's just going fast. But then also I feel like I can't casually watch this like I would another anime, like like a regular old shonen action, whatever. Like I kind of go on this one because when I was watching My Hero Academia, I could just like, eh, whatever. I'm watching, I'm vibing, cool stuff's happening, but it's never too in depth. So, where do you fall on that? Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
anime have to be this fast, or
I
versus
think that
casual?
I think that it's okay for an anime to do what this one is doing, so long as it's like kind of uh it's not trying to skirt around the fact that that's what the show is. Like I was saying last week, with the English voice actors, it really brings out a more like Shakespearean performance from the characters. And I really feel like that the story itself is like very drama, and very like a very I mean,
I would say
I don't
close
want
to
to
Game of Thrones, sort of like that sort of chess piece movement.
sort of, but like when you think of a Shakespearean drama, what did he write? He wrote tragic comedies.
Tragic, yeah.
He wrote comedies and he wrote tragedies. So that's definitely, I think, the line that this show tries to like finely balanced is that it tries
Okay.
to have its uh it's trying to simultaneously set that all up at the same time though. So it's giving a lot to really load up that dramatic tension that is going to happen as the series moves forward. Because we're only going to be getting into the first 12 episodes here, but the series spans 50 episodes. That's what I've seen.
And
And
movies.
yeah, there are apparently movies post series, but I haven't watched any of the movies myself because
Gotcha.
the show's closure was like just totally it for me at the time.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to everybody watching live on Twitch. Hello, Claire. We see you. We are not talking in code today. We are talking in English and English standard here. But shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And we're going to talk about Code Geass episode 5. Matt, what happens in The Princess and the Witch?
Episode 5. With Princess Cornelia conquering a new area, she heads to Area 11 to deal with the unrest post death of Clovis. Lelouch finds the green haired girl, introducing herself as C2, chatting with Nunnally, then pulling her away where they have a discussion over the weight of his power and their new special relationship. Tensions are on the rise, with Zero making waves and Britannian leadership distrustful of each other. Suzaku is acquitted of his accusations and meets a girl who falls out of the sky, then showing her around before she requests to be taken to Shinjuku. Colin continues to show suspicion over Lelouch before he spots C2 in the courtyard of his school, her promising not to draw C2 promising not to draw suspicion. Lelouch and Suzaku share their perspectives with their company before Suzaku jumps to the defense of Jeremiah, who had been ambushed by other Britannians. Suzaku's company revealing herself to be Princess Euphemia, ordering them to drop their weapons. Cornelia arrives in Area 11, immediately looking to track down Zero, Suzaku then being shown to be joining Ashford Academy.
Wow. So much stuff. And you said her name was C2
C2.
in the Japanese version because I'm still watching it. The problem with our TV, just got a side note, for some reason whenever there's English for Crunchyroll, it won't show subtitles. So I
I
remember that
mentioned that
was
last week, yeah.
yeah, so I tried to watch it in English, like you said, and I was like, "Oh, maybe we'll like it." But whenever I watch it in English, for some reason, the TV doesn't show subtitles, so we just stuck with Japanese so we can read it because it helps me remember their names if I can read the stuff. But in the Japanese stuff, they call her Cece, not C2,
Ah.
which is
Yeah, in the
interesting. Well,
English dub,
C
it's C2 for sure.
because there's two C's, I'm
Yeah.
assuming,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
just call her Cece,
And
and
not
I was like,
only is
"Oh,
like, "Oh, she just goes by her initials, it's so silly."
yeah, I
It's
don't,
like, "C2?"
yeah."
There
Okay, then that, yeah, for sure. So we
So, actually,
see
that would make sense then, because if then in the Japanese sub, if she goes by CC, that
those
would
are her
be
initials.
initials, yeah.
Mhm.
So,
But when they say it
interesting.
in English, they're like, "Oh, just her initials, C2."
C2.
What?
Yep.
Okay. We see them taking over Area 18 because they are avenging Clovis. While we're on the topic here, we get the introduction again of Cece, C2. This character, which we still don't know a
No,
whole
a
lot
whole
about. We
yeah.
have a lot of mystery around what they are. We have a lot of, nobody knows her. Nobody knows that she's around. She's the best kept secret in the house, I guess, because they don't go to his room for some reason, and she's
Maybe
just
the
there.
second best kept secret.
What's the first? Just kidding.
Uh
Duke Adonna says, and we already have Pizza Hut sponsoring the hell out of the shiz. We don't need corn chips muddying the waters as well. What? Oh, because of the pizza. Because yeah, she ordered a pizza. Brought to you by Pizza Hut with a big Pizza Hut cap. We meet sort of CC's.
I th
I missed it.
what
That went right over my head.
that's still going over my head.
CC's
Look,
Pizza?
that's not a thing in
That's not.
California, I don't think. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. They are a fantastic buffet pizza place. Not fantastic. CC's are corn chips? Oh, I didn't even know that. I don't know.
Oh,
We learn something
We're
new
just
every
all
day.
on a different page. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just all talking about totally different things. We meet formally, I suppose, again, the Japan Liberation Group, Japanese
Yes.
Liberation Group, and we also get the introduction of Yuffie. And we get a confirmation about why she was jumping out or she was falling? She jumped out, right?
She
That's what it
jumped out,
was. I might
yeah.
have missed it.
I
She
mean,
jumped out because bad men were following
that's
her or
what she
something.
says. She says that she was being chased,
Okay.
but she was probably just looking to, because he's just leaving that, like, that place. I'm forgetting what it's called. So she was probably just trying to escape her early duties and try to get around to see the Area 11, because up to that point she hadn't seen any of it. She was coming in as a student, but she's coming here to take over the responsibilities for this area. So it's the show's trying to paint her with this sense of empathy that she has for other people. So she wanted to, bear witness to
Be
everything that has happened here.
Yeah, and because she takes care of the cat, and we see her being really nice, and the cat bites Suzaku, and I'm at this weird spot because I'm watching this for the first time, right? Matt's already seen it. Um, there's a lot of characters. There's a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, and I'm trying to find out where how many are important, how many are not, but then at different points they are all important. But I just thought Yuffie was just going to be somebody that was kind of like how, the school gang of people, like the school group of little characters that are just talking that I really don't want to talk. I really don't care about their school stuff, them talking in the house. And I'm like, can we get to the war that's going on? That's fine. But I thought Yuffie was just going to be another one of those characters, but it turns out to be a lot more, which was pretty cool. Pretty cool to see another person in the lineage. So we get the conflicting sort of vignettes here
Yes.
between Lelouch and Suzaku, where it's sort of the thought of, so is it, I think I got it right. So is it bad to be strong? Is it good to be weak? Why don't you talk about them in their contrasting thoughts, because they have the same goal, but they're so still different in how they want to go about it, because continuously Suzaku believes in the system, believes that the system is right and it's going to be there. And I am hesitant to believe that he's right, but there's still that glimmer of hope. Like, is he right? Because
Well,
there's like a little piece.
it's the question of, like, is it like whether or not he's in the right, but is he doing, like, the right thing to, like, get the job done? And it's they both have the complete conflicting inverse of the they have a the juxtaposition of their ideology is shown to just kind of be at polar opposites
Mhm.
of each other, where Zero, I almost called him Zero. Lelouch sounds like he's ready to kind of do whatever it takes to get the job done. As we already have seen, he is willing to get his hands bloody in order to change the world, and he believes that unless you're willing to do that, you won't. But Suzaku's got the complete opposite, where every chance we've seen him be able to take it, he continues to take a non-violent path that leads to everybody being able to come out safe. Even his Lancelot is, like, more designed as, like, this it has those energy shields
Mhm.
that kind of are more so for protecting, and he closes the distance and uh uses the Lancelot's, like, close quarter weapons, or just hand to hand, to disable the enemies instead of just outright using firepower, um except for the one time when we see in the future that it's almost required of him to do so.
And going off of that, thinking big picture, thinking the end, thinking the story as a whole, I really don't know which one is going to come out on top. For me, as a first time watcher, I'm like, it could be either. I
Yeah,
would I
who's the
would
main
be
character here?
I could be completely convinced that Lelouch is going to end up dying at the hand of Suzaku because he has to do what he has to do, or that Lelouch is going to take over the way he does it. And what's solidifying the fact that, if any other anime, it would be Lelouch as the main character. But the subtle things that I see, even in this episode, Suzaku saving Jeremiah, Suzaku who is an 11, who is an honorary Bretonian, Britannian, there's like little moments where they're like, huh, like what is he doing? Like there's little moments just like that one where they're like, oh, he's saving me. Like, oh, maybe they're not all bad. Maybe we are wrong. There's these little glimpses of him possibly changing or setting the seed for change of how they're going to view him. And that's what makes it believable that Suzaku could possibly come out on top, because I don't know. And I really believe that it could be either one. And we're going to see maybe like the ultimate ending would be like, we would have been on your side, but this person ruined it. Or we would have done this, but this person did this. So now it's all coming, and
Mhm.
it's a huge war sort of thing.
It's definitely one of the main things that I remember driving me episode to episode was just like, yeah, I'm so incredibly curious as to which one of them is going to be able to come out on top. And the fact that there's this whole um again that Chekhov's gun on the wall where like Lelouch has this Geass power and he has not used it on Suzaku yet. So it's like, is he going to use it on him? What is it going to be? Like, what are the implications of it going to do? And there's just so many open-ended questions that, like, as the show continues to answer questions and introduce characters, in the small term, it continues to set up these long-term uh,
Possible
setups for,
payoffs.
yeah, for
Yeah.
possible payoffs. Exactly.
And I'm okay with that. I have a lot of hope watching the anime. It's just that it's so dense that
Hmm.
there's just scene,
It's a lot to
scene.
chew,
Here it
a lot
is.
to chew on.
New characters, new this, and then we get the ultimate reveal that Yuffie is the third princess of Britannia, and they're all connected, and they are yeah, it's well, I think we're gonna get into it in episode 6, because we get like a flashback in this one, I think. Or is it in episode 7? Oh, it's in episode 7. But we're gonna get into the lineage and stuff like that. But Suzaku joins the class, and now he's in the school part. That's my least favorite part about all
Oh,
this. They're still
really?
going to class.
Yeah.
There's the war happening. We're in war stuff. I don't know.
No,
It's
yeah.
it's just kind of odd.
No, yeah. I understand. Like, I understand why it's off-putting when there's these more grandiose things happening, but again, I think it just really helps sell the different, like, points of view as something like a war is unfolding, that there's all of these different people that do get affected and a lot of minutia that goes on behind it. So it's just always very, I find it always very interesting, the juxtaposition of the war scenes against the school scenes, because like they are just so like blissfully unaware of the terrible things that are happening like just a few
Sure.
miles from them.
Yes.
And it's it's always like usually just enough to just remind me that like there's this larger world that's happening. But in these 4 episodes there are a few times where it overstays its welcome 100%.
Yes.
I cannot deny that.
Going off what you're saying about there's other parts of this world, a couple of scenes, and they do it a lot in the anime, is they show the scene of the train riding in between the two parts where there's crumbling rubble of what city used to be, and then there's the shiny bright, the city that's living still, and it's kind of riding the line of the two parts. And I love that, just that scenery of it, because it's really cool to use that, like, oh, there is a division here. there are people that are living this life and just see that, but then there are other people where they're dead, or their family members are dead, or they cannot live where they used to live. So those scenes are cool. Well, not cool, but like cool to see the wider scope of everything. And I love that the people of Britannia and the 11s have this sort of personality, like the faceless, the nameless people that we just kind of see and we don't really get to pinpoint a main character for them. They are as much a part of this as the main players, which is really cool that there are these people that are living this world and they're either going with a certain person, or they're looking for reform, or they're looking to get out or something like that. But these people are their own characters in the mass, and who has
For better
control of
and
them.
worse,
Yeah, for
as we
better and worse.
see.
And I really like that. I really like that they give the scope of this area where here are the main players, but the people are really a big part of it. And by the end of episode 8, they're hopefully will be a bigger part of it too. Episode 6, The Stolen Mask. What happens in episode 6?
Um, someone spoke to Clovis about the project we shortly see on screen. We jump into the episode. Suzaku is immediately outcasted socially due to the fact that he is an honorary Britannian, also the one who had been accused of murdering Clovis. Lelouch and Suzaku catch up away from everybody else. Cornelia continues her crusade to find Zero, and Jeremiah is demoted back to pilot rank. Lelouch brings Suzaku over to surprise Nunnally, and upon leaving, Suzaku says that he will be keeping his distance so that they can keep up their appearances. Uh, the cat crisis happens, and Suzaku saves Lelouch from falling off a building, revealing to the whole school that they know each other, and Suzaku is invited to join the student council. A memorial for Clovis is broadcast for the entire state of Britannia to witness as Lelouch is reminded who his enemy is.
So this is the Code Geass. Duke of Donut says that's what I think makes the slice of life school scene so important. If it was all war, all rebellion all the time, we get used to it. It would most certainly contradict the message if we didn't see the victims or soon to be collateral damage of the rebellion. Very true. It sometimes it does
That's why
overstay
I
its
I keep biting my tongue.
yes,
on,
so it does sort
on
of
certain
overstay its welcome a
reveals.
little bit, but I do understand that the brief moments of levity are necessary, because every time they kill someone, I don't expect them to show them dying, but they do. They show the nightmares opening fire on innocent people when they're like, "We give up, we're good." Boom, and you see them get blood come out. I'm like, every time I see blood, I don't know why. I'm not like a blood. I'm like fine with blood and all that stuff.
I
But
think
whenever
it's
I see blood with them, I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh,
I think it's the character designs of the show are just in this super uppity, like, not uppity, are just like they're very appealing. The character designs are very, very like, and the whole design, the aesthetic of the show outside of the war scenes is very clean and very like safe, I guess you could even say. And so every time, you have again, it's that juxtaposition of like, here's this, and then the scale is completely, turned opposite when we have
mhm,
to see the for these people to have this type of life, this is what's happening here, or however you'd want to
mhm."
phrase that out.
Cosmo said left, right, 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 down, up. That's a fatality cheat code for someone. Thank you so much. I'll use that. I'll remember that in the future. Hello, Cosmo. How's it going? Duke of Donuts says the sounds of crying children silenced by gunfire in the Shinjuku ghetto. It's so chilling. Yes,
Yes.
it's just super jarring whenever it happens here. Triangle. That was a triangle. It looks like a square on my end. Sorry, I messed up that code already. My bad.
And it's like for reasons like that that I did hesitate to put this in the chest back when I did, is because like I know this show is a lot to bite off to chew, but I did really have an interest in seeing how, uh, our format would would work with this show,
Sure.
because it's like it's a lot. And I remember us having a lot of fun with Psychopaths, which was also
Super
something that
dark.
was a lot, yeah, it's a lot to bite off and chew. But I feel like this is kind of the most dense, possibly, that
So
uh
far.
watched.
Yeah,
And
for
like
sure.
dense, there's the term wide as a ocean, deep as a lake, and I feel like it's like the opposite with this one, where it really chooses these specific things to like hone in on, and then it just really kind of continues to try to amp them up as much as possible for those, again, those big reveals, and then it swaps into something else. And even though we, again, the big part of this episode that overstayed its welcome was definitely the cat crisis.
What? No, I loved it.
But
It's the
but
milk crisis all over.
it's the milk crisis all over, back to season
Why'd they
1.
spend so much time?
They spent so much time on it, and it really did draw itself out. It overstayed its welcome. The ultimate um effect of it, like, I'm okay with. Oh, it's because they were trying to find a way to showcase Suzaku and Lelouch know each other to everybody else without them having to just kind of awkwardly bring it up to people. Sure, I'm okay with that being the reason,
I
ultimately,
guess,
but
but
it takes too much time to get there.
it
And
does. And Lelouch even
it
says,
insists
like, "Am I
upon
really gonna
itself.
get revealed by something so stupid or something
Yeah.
like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, what are we doing?
And he
We're
is running
chasing a
around
cat."
using his Geass for borderline slapstick. He's like,
Yeah.
"Forget everything you just saw."
I did laugh though. That was pretty funny. I was like, "Okay, cool."
"Forget
Um,
everything you know."
yeah, forget everything you know. But having the whole school go after it, a little much, but it's whatever. We see Suzaku ultimately joining the student council, them getting both a kiss from Nunnally. Great. But now he's on the student council. And then we get the big part, which I think is the most important part. We get a look at the 98th Emperor, and his speech was ridiculous. And
Mhm.
I don't know how. Well, I mean, I guess I do. I mean, living in America, am I right? How can someone get behind this guy and just put all their faith in this person and still be fine with the family lineage? How he's telling everybody inequality's not wrong. It's great. And some people are born just better, and some people are just rich. And some family bloodlines are just made to be better than you, and that's okay. It evolves. Britannia moves forward only. All hail Britannia! All hail Britannia! And I was like, "What is this?" Duke Donut says, not only is just so adorable, and I completely understand why Lelouch is going to burn the world for her sake. I'm totally cool with that too. Hey, why not? Yeah, she's pretty cute, and she's his sister. And if you want somebody to live a better life that you love so much, and you weren't living a good life anyways, why the fuck not? Why not put all the chips on the table
Yeah.
and go for it
But, like,
against this madman?
according to everything that, yeah, that madman just said, that means that Nunnally's existence is, inconsequential. People like that just shouldn't exist.
So where does she fall? Well, I want to get into it at the beginning of episode 7 because I didn't really make the connection until I saw what happened at the beginning of episode 7, the whole flashback sequence
Mhm.
of this little guy. But man, the 98th, I don't get it. I don't get what he has. He has the royal bloodline, but everybody just follows him because they think they're gonna be. It almost reminded me of, because I read the Bioshock book, and it goes over like the
Andrew Ryan?
ideals of Andrew Ryan, and
Yeah.
it goes in depths of like before, how he became who he is and how he created Rapture. And it's sort of the same thing,
Yeah.
similar, where he's like, well, you got to just pick up your bootstraps and let's get to work. And you got to work for yourself. And you got to start a business. You got to do this, and you got to make it for yourself. Nobody else. Fuck everybody. The best man wins. And this is a fight to the top. And this is all about the economy and about what you do for you. And this is sort of the same thing where he's like, some people are better, but this adds another element to it because he's like, some people are just born better, and you're gonna have to deal with that. And this is the world we live in. While very true, just the way that he says it, is like, no, you can be born a certain way and still get to the same spot as other people. It just might be a little bit longer, a little bit harder, but there is equality in all humans. But I just can't get over how people are just like, yes, fuck yeah, that's my guy, you know? Like, are they just afraid of revolting? Is that what it is? Because I want to see ultimately all of those people look at the Black Knights and be like, oh shit, hell yeah. Like, let's do that. So
The
I don't want to know.
whomst?
The who? We haven't gotten there yet. The Duke of Donuts says, I would definitely like to see how he ascended the throne in an OVA or something. Yeah, I mean, I don't know I don't know that much about the lore. I just know what I watched, but that would be cool. I don't doubt that. Um, like in Kakegurui E, I'm reading the manga and they have the whole story, but there was a student council president before that, and Kakegurui Twin is another manga that was made after that, and it shows her ascension to the student council. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So maybe something like that. Um, any thoughts on this one other than the cat scene and the the whole thing about the enemy? We finally know his enemy. Episode 7.
I mean, we get the reveal that we're about to see in episode 7, but we get the reveal that they are. I mean, I guess it was already revealed before that they're Britannian bloodline. But I guess we know that Suzaku knows that as well after
Mhm.
episode 6. I I like to see the tale of Jeremiah ongoing, and I like to see the show continue to draw attention to that as we move forward.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay. Claire says, I'm interested in the politics, but then there's an episode of Chasing a Cat, and I wonder if it's really worth watching anymore. It
It
was it
overstayed its
was
welcome.
2 scenes too many. 2 or 3 scenes too many. When they got on the roof, I was already done. When they got on the or close to getting on the roof, I was like, "Mm." Almost Duke Donut says, almost disappointed there's no source material to look back on with Code Geass. There was a manga adaptation of Code Geass that came later, but it was very different. Yuffie's a student at Ashford, and there are no nightmare frames. What?
Yes,
That's half the
I meant
thing.
to bring that up, and I thought about that since the since last week. Is that this might be the first time we've done a anime without a manga that's
I
not a
didn't even know
manga
there was not a
adaptation.
I didn't even know
Yeah,
there was not a manga.
this is its own thing.
Oh.
This was an anime that had a story that was written for it.
Does it have any video games?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
There
Interesting.
there might be one, but if so, it's old and it's niche. I've never heard of it.
Claire says, I want to like it, but they're making it really hard. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, again, it's definitely of its time. It's '06 when this came out, so it was still
plenty of
making some
video
of the
games.
I didn't know that.
Wait, are you just saying there's a lot of video games in general, or are there a lot of Code Geass games?
The oh, I had it.
Oh, sorry,
It's gone.
I
No,
ruined it.
it's okay.
But after this episode, I want to stick to it. Okay, there's a lot of Code Geass games. I guess I got to look it up. I definitely want a mobile game or
Seems to
something.
be.
Because I'm down for mobile games. But after this episode's done, I will stick to it and I will put up the poll because next week we're going to rate this anime. So if you'd like to rate it, I'll put the poll up in the Discord. So join the Discord and it will also be there'll be a link in the description of the YouTube video. Sorry if anybody's on Spotify. I can't put any links in there. Well, I guess I can. Yeah, I guess I could put it on Spotify too. So if you're watching on Spotify later, there's a link down there of where you would like to rate it, and your votes count in the final rating of each of the anime. So,
I have it again. I was saying that it's a show that's definitely, of its time, like we were saying last time, and there are some aesthetics that draw from, the early 2000s when it came out, and there are some things in it that are in there that feel like they were in there for the sake of the trends that were popular in anime at the time,
sure,
like light. There's light fan service. There's like even more light fan service than I remember there being. There's
a lot of legs.
a lot of legs, and sometimes the school bits overstay its welcome. It'll like kind of it'll thread things out over the course of time, a little too long sometimes, where it feels like the fact that it has 50 episodes, it's just like being self-indulgent in itself, and that's what I felt like the cat scene was. But that was
Mhm.
the only time I felt like that so far. But I can't say it does, like, pull you out where you're just like sitting there going, "What's going on? What's going on?" But I do draw back to the fact that it juxtaposes off of everything else that happens so well. And the comedy bits that are in there that are kind of played for that, it just reminds me, it brings me back to also the Shakespearean comment where it's going to be tragedy and comedy. It's setting up for both of them, not just one or the other.
It's trying.
It's
Uh,
trying. It's not
Duke
always
Donut
hitting the
says
landing.
no source material to gauge returns, hence the egregious advertising for Pizza Hut in the original release. That's where all the money came from for production. The fan service is very mild compared to modern anime. Like we get a few uncensored, but only for a few frames. That's about it. Just a perfectly seasoned. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I'm
Yeah,
fine with
I'm
how it
not
is.
saying it's bad. I'm just saying, like,
It
it's
was of the
there.
time
Yeah,
because that's what it was light in
light
that
fan
era.
service. But
Ep-
nowadays, you just get over the top fan service in very, very small bits.
mhm,
It's
for
like,
sure.
"Oh, what's going on? Why is
Here's
somebody
everything.
just all of a sudden losing their clothes?" Fire
Episode
Force.
7,
Sorry.
Attack Cornelia.
Attack
What happens in
Cornelia.
episode 7?
The show gives us more bits and pieces of Lelouch and his life before being exiled. Cornelia recreates the conditions of the Battle of Shinjuku in Saitama, attempting to lure out Zero, noting that her strategy will not simply be to beat him via numbers. Suzaku is continuing to work for the Special Corps in tandem with being a student, and Shirley grows jealous over Colin and her perceived crush that Lelouch and Colin share. C2 attempts to stop Lelouch from walking into Cornelia's trap. However, he showcases his resolve and she accepts, letting him go. Cornelia begins her attack on Saitama, Lelouch attempting to coordinate with the local resistance force and managing to surprise Cornelia a few times, but is ultimately outplayed when he is left helpless in a nightmare frame behind enemy lines. Shirley confides her crush in Suzaku, while Lelouch is saved by C2, disguised as Zero, giving Lelouch an opening to escape.
Now, this episode, pretty baller.
Pretty, pretty interesting
I did really like
episode.
it. We get a lot of information about the lineage of Lelouch, about the his dad, because I in my head I knew that was his son. I knew it was his son. Like I didn't have any question when they said it. Like, oh, his dad. I was like, okay, yeah, it is his dad. But I didn't have it spelled out for me this way, where like he is the kid and that is his dad. And I was like, oh my God, wait. Like I don't know why it was such a big like oh shit moment, but I was like, oh yeah, he is
Yeah,
trying to go against his dad here.
yeah,
Like that's literally his dad. I
yeah.
don't know why it was like I knew he was in lineage somehow. He was a royalty. And I was like, okay, whatever. But at that
And again,
point,
the reveal of it, like, if you haven't connected those dots solidly before, it feels more like it carries more weight considering you've already seen Lelouch murder Clovis.
yeah, and they were brothers and they were roommates. It was kind of yeah, it was crazy because they are what I'm assuming half brothers or literally brothers where they came from the same mom. I don't think so, but they are at least came from the same dad and everybody has that royal blood in him. All the people that we've seen, I forgot the purple hair girl's name. What's her name?
Yuffie,
No, this one.
Cornelia.
Cornelia and Yuffie, for sure, they are all connected. Now, what's really cool as well, they are keeping all of those parts separate. And I love that. I love that it's going to be
Everything's
something
everybody's like just doing their thing.
because Lelouch doesn't know about the connection between Suzuku and Yuffie. That's going to be important.
Nope.
That there's going to be something there where it's like, you know her or you know him. Wait, what's this about? And we also see Cornelia not knowing it's Lelouch, but Lelouch actively going against his sister. So this whole beginning flashback scene where he's, yelling at his father, telling him, fuck off, get out of here. You're weak as shit, dog. Get the fuck out of my fucking house. You're dead to me, literally. And it's so it puts everything into a different perspective, at least for me. If you were
Yeah.
smart and you were like, yeah, that's how it's been, whatever. Cool, great for you. I don't know why it took me till this long to be like, oh shit, this got real. But I felt it. I felt the impact of this going back whole thing. We also find out that Nunnally was shot in the leg and that her blindness, Kaylin had to point this out to me, that it was hysterical blindness, that it
From
was
trauma.
from trauma, that
And you can see it way back in the, I didn't grab a shot of it, but in the episode where it shows the gunshots being fired through the window, you see the death of Lelouch and Nunnally's mother when she's like holding Nunnally, and like she's I think she's already gone blind because her eyes are just like completely like wide open and she's just like shaking.
gotcha.
So I'm pretty sure that's the moment that she went blind. Maybe shortly afterwards, but yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Um, the already at that part, there is rumor that it was an inside job, and I thought that was really interesting. That it was already like hush hush that somebody inside did it, somebody of the family or his own side. Now I'm thinking maybe it is the dad for some reason, or I don't know. But that could be interesting. Still, that thread's keeping up. We see Cornelia recreating the incidents to draw Zero out, and Zero is ordering them around kind of like chess pieces once again, which I really enjoyed. Again, this is really pretty cool how he
Mhm.
does this, how people don't follow it because they want to survive. They want to stay
Yeah.
alive and they think they are under uh unbeatable forces. They are
Oh, yeah.
drawn into a corner that they will not be able to win, so they kind of panic and get out of formation, stop talking back to him, stop listening to him, and it's their own ultimate downfall. Claire says that its hysterical blindness might mean that Gias would work on her, since presumably her eyes work and send signals to the brain still, which yes, definitely. That's what I said on the last episode, that I think there will be an ultimate moment where he has to try to do that to somebody, maybe, and she gets it instead, or he does it on her willingly. I don't know what the situation would be for that to happen. Um, but I'm game to see where that goes, because there is something there. They introduced it for a reason now that we know that it wasn't that's not just how she was born. I think it was because of this. She'll either get her sight back, or because it's a part of the eye contact thing, that she will be under Lelouch's spell for something. And that could be his ultimate like turning point. I think that could be like, oh shit, I've gone so far as to do it on the person I'm trying to save. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So I'm thinking that it's in my head, it's ruminating, and I'm down for that to happen. Um, CC saves Zero, which is pretty dope. I loved the moment behind enemy lines where they're asking him to reveal your faces. And I also love that Cornelia shows to be a formidable foe to
Mhm.
Zero, because
I
she's like, I
it's
know what's going on and I'm not taking any chances.
Yeah, I'm not well, she in a way did take a chance by recreating the events and trying to draw out Zero, right? Like
But she
I
has
know
nothing to
he's
lose.
no, yeah,
She
yeah, yeah,
doesn't care
but
about anybody.
no, 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 yeah. But like she's like, I'm taking a chance by drawing him out here for the fight to test him, but like I'm doing it to isolate him because yeah, like this time I'm gonna recreate the events, everything up to, and leading up to it, but then how my silly little brother would have handled things. That's not how I run business.
Yeah.
So I'm going to like not just charge in there all in. I'm gonna lure him out, and then once we have him found, that's when we got him, ladies and gentlemen. We got
We
him.
got him. And the moment they're asking him, please come out of the nightmare, we need to see your face. time stops. We go into his brain, and I instantly was like racking my brain, and I'm
Like,
like,
what does he
how
do?
is he?
How is he gonna get out of
I was
this?
it, the
Yeah,
tension was there, and I
yeah,
really appreciated that because they took the time to be like, "Hey, man,
yeah,
get out," and then the time would stop. He's like, "Well, what do I do?"
yeah.
What and he laid out his options. He was like, is it too much to
He's
do
going over
this?
everything,
No.
yeah.
Is it too much to do this? What if I did this? What if I did this? And every single time I'm like, how is he going to get out of this?
Mhm.
What's here?
Literally backed into a corner.
And he really had that heart pumping moment full of adrenaline because he almost gets caught and he sees that he even sees it himself. He's like, fuck, man, that was close. Like, I don't know if that's a changing point for him where he's like, I got to be more careful, or he just is going to keep doing what he's doing.
3 things I feel like, I mean, I can count 3 things that he
I can
learns,
count.
like 3 things that he learns from this is, 1, he can't always do it on his own. Like, even though in the
Sure.
last battle he said the human element's always the best, he really realizes that, like, I need my own, like, elite squad, like how Princess Cornelia has her, royal knights. He's like, "I need my royal knights," essentially. I need a vanguard that won't break. He learns that. He learns that C2 is an ally and isn't just somebody that is, kind of a question mark in terms of if he can trust her. I
Hmm.
think he at least knows that she doesn't want him to die. So, an ally in
At
that.
least, at the very least, yes.
Um, and wow, look at that. I already forgot the third thing that I was
Okay.
going to say.
Well,
I guess I can't
turns out
count.
you can't count to 3. I also do I think it was this episode, right,
It'll come
where
back.
she's going or he's about to go out. We gotta keep going because
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
running out of
No,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Um, when he goes out or no, he's like, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go out, and I know it's a trap." Cece is like, "Yo, bro, don't do it. I kinda need you. I need you for my thing." Whatever it is, whatever she needs him for. And he even, like, says, you can't use your own Geass. And she does this little eye twitch, like, oh shit, he got me. And he sort of checkmated on that, or he checked on that, but then he checkmated on him pointing the gun or getting the gun out. And she was like, "Are you really gonna threaten me, man?" And he puts it to his head, and I was like,
Yep,
bro, there it is. That's
yep.
the moment. I was like, oh shit, you're playing chess, man. I did not think about that because he's like,
He
you
never
need me.
stops. He never
Y-
stops.
You need me, man. So whatever. I'll kill myself. I don't care. I didn't I had a shitty life anyways. So what the fuck? Why not? Crazy. Love this episode. Great episode. Episode 8, The Black Knights. What happens?
Uh Episode 8, some of the student council takes a day trip into the city while Lelouch introduces the Shinjuku resistance to a new mobile command center. The tower of the council day trip is taken over by a broken off division of the JLF, holding the tower with hostages inside, Princess Euphemia being one of the hostages. Lelouch weighs out his options, not wanting to lose his friends. He uses his knowledge of Cornelia as her sibling to appeal to her in an attempt to slip into the tower to save his friends. Cornelia, believing that she has just nested 2 fish to shoot in one barrel, Suzaku is given an opportunity to break through the enemy's modified cannon to save the hostages. Lelouch uses Geass to eliminate JLF leadership, then saving Euphemia as well as the entirety of the hostages, introducing the world to his new army, the Black Knights.
Whew, this moment. So good. The Japanese Liberation Front take the hostages where the school kids were having a little field trip. Turns out Yuffie's there as well. Didn't even know. All got hijacked. Chaos goes crazy. The student council is taken. There's a new HQ that he set up for these people. He has like some suits, and he's like, "Should I pass these out? No, not yet. Just give me a moment." Um, the way that he confronts Cornelia, just straight up, I love. He has nothing, and it feels something like he has nothing but his brain, and he
Yep.
feels like sort of like the Doctor. I watch a lot of Doctor Who. Feels like the Doctor. He doesn't carry around a gun. He doesn't need to. Feels like Sherlock, where it's like I can outthink you and I don't need the gunpowder. I don't need the manpower behind whatever it is.
We don't
I
get to
see.
see him when he's plotting the plan. In a lot
No.
of narratives, you see them like, "Oh, the scene. All right, you guys, we're gonna plan this all out." Blah blah blah, and they like talk through it, and then they do it, or they do like the talk through it, start to talk through it, and then it cuts to shots of them talking through it while people are doing it, or even just not even talking through it but doing it. They establish that the plan's being made as a group, and it's always with lelouch. He kind of You don't see him say that he's making a plan. You just see him acknowledging all of the variables that are in his way. Again, last episode we were talking about his the conditions. He always just talks about the conditions and observes it and thinks about things, and then we just get to see him in action, and
Mhm.
we don't get to see his thoughts about like what he's doing. We just get to see him reacting to what's happening according to his plans.
As zero. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so I like that and I
So it
dig
makes
it.
you have to keep guessing what's going to happen literally until it happens.
Yes. And I
Or
love it.
he'll have the moment where he's like, the enemy now has a couple different things they could do, and like doesn't explain what those things are or something.
Mhm.
It's constantly prompting you to be like, or it's constantly prompting and nudging you, just being like, "Hey, what's gonna happen?
And it's
I'm
not
not telling you. I'm not
and
gonna tell
that
you."
could go bad too, right?
It
There
can,
could be a
if the
point
reveals aren't
where
satisfying.
yeah, that, but also where the things he's doing are unbelievable.
Oh,
To
sure.
me, right now, all of the things that he does and the way that he's done them, there's enough explanation behind it and enough behind it for me to be like, okay, I can make that plausible deniability that this would happen. Like I can see him facing Cornelia, her not ultimately shooting him because he's like, I can save you. And he has that trump card where he's like, I know Yuffie's in there. And what's the only thing that she really cares about? Why has she not attacked? Because of this one person. I'm taking a gamble here,
Yeah.
but I'm going to put all of my confidence into it. And the way that he saves everybody else is not unbelievable to me. It could be borderline, I suppose, but up
Right
until
there in that
now,
moment that he saw Euphemia, it's like, he Geassed all of them, and the soldiers or whatever, and told them, you must help all the survivors, all the hostages board rafts.
yeah,
Um,
with the
whatever.
pieces given to me and them not showing every single action, I can plausibly connect the dots there and it does make sense to me. So there could be a point where something is too good and some outcome is too much to where I'm like, I don't know about that, but that's one instance where it would be too much. But up until now, it's all been believable and it all makes sense to me.
From the time that I watched this show and like the time that I got into Dungeons and Dragons are very far, like, years and years and years apart. But one of the most interesting ways of like making Dungeons and Dragons work is like every time you have like benefits happening or stuff, you get like or if people like push their luck, so to speak, even if they get the positive outcome, they might get that drawback. Immediately I could think to uh Trigun Stampede when they're trying to keep the cannon from dropping, and that they're like pushing their luck by using themselves physically as tools, and Vash ends up chipping and breaking his arm as like
Mhm.
like kind of like a permanent debuff, so to speak, in gaming terms.
Sure.
So one thing I remember this show doing very well the further it goes on is he really has to push that luck and roll those dice like more and more times, and the potential for the result blowing back into his face continues to grow more and more and more, and sometimes the blowbacks may not be immediate.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes the repercussions can have ripples
Sure.
that go on, and you
I
might not
mean,
even notice in the moment.
for sure. And this is going to be a huge change in the way society is because to everybody and to all TVs and large screens everywhere, they broadcast the reveal of the Black Knight, and we see a lot of people's take on it. And I thought his speech was pretty dope. The speech that he did was "Fear us or seek us as you please." The whole speech was great and a great unveiling for these Black Knights and these characters. And I'm so
Yeah,
down to
because
see
everything's a
these.
show, everything's a performance.
Yeah, it's all performative, and we see that TV guy once again just being like, "I love this guy, like he's great."
I will take
Uh,
responsibility. I said air it. Air that
yeah,
air it right now.
this is great TV. But this will have ripples into the world, and I'm so excited to see where it comes to, who gets involved, and if, like I was saying, these people were just behind the guy in charge because he was in charge. But now that they see that there is a plausible out to possibly have a revolution, could there be people that go towards his side? And I want to see the culmination of that. Next week, we're going to be talking about episode 9 through 12. And it'll be the last time that we watch Code Geass on the show. Please be there next week on Wednesday and on Fridays on Spotify and YouTube. But before that, you watch those episodes 9 through 12. You can rate it. I'll be putting a link in the Discord and a link on these episodes. Rate the anime where you would rate it on animation, storytelling, and vibes, just like we do, and your vote will count. So I'm going to put those links for the little survey thing. You just fill it out. Doesn't You don't have to put your name or sign in or anything. You just vote, and super simple. And I'll tabulate the the votes there, and you'll get mine and you'll get Matt's, and we'll all put it on a combined score to place it on somewhere over here, because we've already seen 2 anime for this season, and it needs a third. So we're gonna put Code Geass somewhere between S and F, and I'm curious where it lands. Matt, when you're not manning a nightmare, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on my Twitch at Matt_Galley, MATT_Galley, or follow me on any of my socials, Instagram and X. Still not used to that one. Just add an ITS at the front at ITS Matt_Galley. Find me in the Discord playing video games. Jules, when we're not here in area 1, I think.
Area
uh
11.
I mean, like, where would America be? Is
Oh,
America
true.
area 1, or is America just like a subdivision? When we're not here, where can the people find you?
At Jules the Human, at JULES the Human, on all social media, on X, on YouTube, on Instagram. Watch these videos. I upload them on Fridays. If you missed any of it and you're just coming in here at the end, you can watch the full video on Fridays on my youtube.com/Jules the Human, or you can watch this podcast on Spotify. There are video podcasts of the Spotify. So you don't have to listen. It'll be the same thing as you see here on Spotify. Just look up the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. Um, yeah, go see all the other anime that we've watched. We've done a ton of episodes. We're in the 60s already. So if there's an anime that you're like, oh, maybe they already watched this, go check out the catalog. It's in its own little folder, and you can go check out all those. But yeah, next week, episode 9 through 12 of Code Geass. And that'll be the last time that we watch Code Geass, and we're going to rate it. So
And
be
then we'll
there.
pick a new one.
Pick a new anime to watch for the next couple weeks. So we'd love for you to watch the anime with us. We'd love for your opinions. We appreciate you being here, and see you next week.
Bye.